They laughed when I said I was joining the military. Said I wouldn't last a week. Too soft, my uncle scoffed. He'll be back home begging for a job by winter, my cousin joked. For years, I was the family disappointment until the day I came home and the airport intercom echoed with the words that turned every mocking face pale, "Clear the way for Army General Davis." I was never the one anyone expected to make it out of our town, let alone become someone worth talking about. My family made that painfully clear from the beginning. In a house where success was measured by loud opinions and material gain, I was the quiet one, the one who liked to listen more than speak, who read books while others boasted about their next get-rich-quick scheme. My father ran a small business, my uncles were all into real estate or sales, and my cousins followed the same path, talking big, earning quick money, and flaunting every bit of it like trophies. I, on the other hand, kept to myself. I wasn't flashy. I wasn't loud. I wasn't interested in chasing temporary attention. And for that, I became the family joke. They said I lacked ambition. That I was too soft. I remember the day I told them I was joining the military like it happened. Yesterday. We were at a family barbecue, and I stood up to make the announcement. The moment I said Army, the entire backyard fell into stunned silence before erupting into laughter. You? The military, my older brother snorted, nearly choking on his drink. My uncle patted my shoulder with a mocking smirk. It's good that you want discipline, son, but you won't last a month, he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. My mother didn't say a word, just quietly turned away, disappointed that her youngest child would have thrown away his future. No one congratulated me. No one encouraged me. They thought it was a phase, a rebellion, maybe a cry for attention. But it wasn't. It was the only decision I'd ever made completely on my own, from the gut. The first weeks of training were hell. My body ached in places I didn't know existed. I was pushed, yelled at, broken down, and reshaped. But unlike others who cracked, something inside me began to harden, not in bitterness, but in strength. I learned to rise before dawn, to run until my legs screamed, to carry weight not just on my back, but in my heart. I didn't tell anyone back home what I was going through. I didn't want their sympathy, and I certainly didn't want their validation. I wrote to my mother once, just to say I was okay. She never wrote back. That silence spoke volumes. While others in my unit got care packages and words of encouragement, I got nothing. And that fueled me more than I can explain. Every promotion, every badge, every commendation, I earned them in silence. And while my family lived loudly, posting about new cars, luxury vacations, and dinner parties, I lived with purpose, training, serving, surviving. Years passed. I climbed the ranks with quiet focus. I was deployed multiple times, to places that don't show up in vacation brochures. I saw things I'll never forget. I lost friends. I led teams through chaos. I made decisions that kept people alive. Slowly, my name started carrying weight within the military. I was no longer just a soldier, I was a leader. But back home, to my family, I was still the one who left. I heard through the grapevine that my cousins were doing well, that my brother opened a gym, and my uncle had bought a beach house. But no one asked about me. They assumed I was stuck somewhere in the desert, doing okay. That was fine with me. I wasn't chasing applause. I was building something deeper, discipline, honor, courage. Things they couldn't measure with Instagram likes or business cards. Then, after more than a decade of service, something changed. My name was put forward for a national honor. A recognition not just for bravery, but for leadership, strategy, and unwavering commitment. I was to return home, not as a visitor, not as someone looking for acceptance, but as an honored guest. They were flying me in for a military event in the city I grew up in. I was told there would be a reception, press, even local politicians. It felt surreal. And when I received my final promotion orders the night before the flight, officially, Naming me as a U.S. Army general, it was as if the universe had handed me a quiet, poetic justice. All those years of mockery, the silence, the disbelief, it was behind me now. But what I didn't know yet was that my return home would be far louder, far more dramatic than anything I could have imagined. Because the moment I stepped off that plane, everything changed. The day I returned home didn't feel real. After 12 years of absence, I stepped off the plane in full military dress uniform, my chest heavy with medals earned in deserts, jungles, and snow-covered mountains. The cool airport air brushed my face as I adjusted my cap and tightened my posture, not for show, but out of habit. I wasn't the same man who had left all those years ago, had bowed from laughter and doubt. I had faced death, led soldiers, carried out missions that haunted my dreams, but none of that had ever prepared me for the moment I was about to walk into. The terminal bustled with passengers and families, but my eyes were fixed on one group near the exit gate. There they were, my family. My mother, my older brother, my uncles and cousins. All dressed nicely, clearly waiting for someone, all laughing. As if nothing in the world had changed. They hadn't seen me yet. Their eyes scanned the arriving passengers with no idea who was about to appear before them. Then it happened. The airport intercom crackled to life. Attention, all passengers and staff, please clear the corridor. Army General Davis is arriving. I repeat, clear the way for Army General Davis. The words echoed across the terminal. Everything slowed. Conversations stopped. Heads turned. People began backing up respectfully, opening a wide path along the main walkway. My footsteps were steady as I walked forward. Not with pride, but with calm purpose. The same calm I had when planning a mission or comforting a grieving soldier's family. My name, General Davis, was now being spoken not in ridicule, but in reverence. And finally, my family noticed. My uncle's laughter died mid-sentence. My brother's smirk froze. My cousin stood still, blinking in disbelief. My mother's mouth opened slightly, her eyes locked on mine, stunned. The look on their faces wasn't just surprise, it was a quiet unraveling of years of judgment, dismissal, and ignorance. I walked past them without a word. I didn't need one. The silence said everything. And as I reached the end of the corridor, a small crowd had gathered, clapping softly. Reporters raised cameras, a local officer gave a respectful salute, and I returned it without breaking stride. But even in the middle of that respectful welcome, I could still feel the weight of those eyes behind me, my family's gaze, still frozen in time, trying to make sense of the man they never thought I could become. Later that evening, I attended the formal event organized by the city, a gathering that honored local veterans and decorated leaders. I was seated at the front, next to the mayor, flanked by decorated officers. My name was announced again, this time accompanied by a standing ovation. I didn't crave the applause, but I accepted it, because it wasn't just for me. It was for every quiet soul who had been underestimated, for every young man or woman who chose a path of grit and service over comfort and noise. During the reception, I saw my mother standing awkwardly near the back of the room. She looked smaller somehow. Older. Her eyes never left me. Eventually, she approached slowly. We stood in silence for a few seconds before she spoke. I didn't know, she whispered. I truly didn't know what you had become. I looked at her, not with anger, not with resentment, but with the clarity of someone who no longer needed validation. I didn't need you to know, I replied gently. I just needed to be who I was meant to be. She nodded, swallowing hard, tears brimming but never falling. She wanted to say more, but couldn't. And that was okay. Some truths didn't need explanations. That night, as I sat alone in my hotel room overlooking the city skyline, I thought about how far I had come, not just in miles, but in identity. The boy they once mocked had returned as a man who no longer fit into their narrow vision of success. I hadn't taken the easy road, or the most popular one, but I had chosen the right one. And in doing so, I had rewritten my story in silence. Discipline, and unwavering determination, the family that once laughed now stood quiet. And the name they once whispered in disappointment had been announced over intercoms, applauded in banquet halls, and etched in respect. I had nothing left to prove. The mission was complete. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to The Silent Revenge for more powerful stories that speak louder than words.